Shareholders want to make a profit, but they also, I think, assume that there are limits being placed on the companies, which there aren't, and that there is, in fact, some sort of social environmental system, which used to, back in the day, be known as regulation, that used to be imposed by governments, that actually put some set of normalized restrictions on those activities, even of oil companies. I think also, I think facts are very important. I think people care about facts, and then there's two other pieces to that. One is facts that are linked to a sense that there's something you can do about them as the person reading them. Yeah. So often facts can be disempowering if it feels that they're being presented in such a way that this horrible string of information is coming at you and there's nothing that you can do to change that string of information. It's one of the main problems with our modern news media right now is that we get these very snippets of information that aren't contextualized, that aren't told in a full story, that certainly aren't told in a way that's meant to include a sense of activism or people who are doing something about that problem, and all you are hit with as a consumer of the media is really sort of a bludgeoning of catastrophe after catastrophe. But then there also is the human side that is also missing, which is it's not just this ephemeral idea that at some point some bad things are going to happen to us, but rather there are people who live every single day, not just on the front lines of climate change, but on the front lines of the operations of the oil industry and the fossil fuel industry, and very rarely is their full voice told. And I think for the sort of average consumer, understanding the direct human impacts happening right now, the real facts, and the sense that you can actually do something about it is the sort of super circle that gets people into change. And then the final piece is that the oil industry isn't sitting blithely away and saying, all we want to do is make money, of course. Exxon, the Koch brothers, all the major players are funding those who are trying to deny our facts. And they have, often because of their money, the capacity for a much louder voice. So what you end up with this, the flooding of the climate deniers myth was that because there was so much money being spent on promoting the idea, that the average person who didn't necessarily know a lot about the facts said, well, if the scientists don't agree, who am I to know, right? And so part of our challenge was exposing, who was actually creating these myths, who was supporting the 5 people who held one idea versus the 500,000 who held the other, so that your average consumer of information could sift through the facts.